Hello, I'm William Hudson and this is Ali Shah. We're representing Team Dandelion on how we feel we should be dealing with the crisis with British Petroleum. We've discovered that the critical issues are a lack of communication throughout the whole system. There's a lack of safety and culture, as well as the dealing with the crisis externally regarding press and media. Through this we've developed two approaches, an internal approach and an external approach. I'll be going through the internal approach with you, and now you'll be going through the external approach with you. In this incident, we've noticed that there are challenges and opportunities with regards to a change of culture, attitudes and the values of BP. There is a lack of safety culture in our eyes, and this is due to the fact that there are poor attitudes and values. We would need to encourage a long-term operation in enforcing safety and making it a core value to BP. To do this, we need to make sure an employee feels comfortable to speak up with any issues or problems that they may have, and that they do have. If they're experiencing any form of malpractice or they feel uncomfortable with any situation throughout the whole operation, they should be able to speak up to any superior and within themselves. As a major approach with this, we will be looking at the Safety, Ethics and Environment Assurance Committee. We believe that this committee should be approached and explain to them that they need to take a more proactive role. We believe BP should encourage them to take on more responsibility and to work harder. We believe that with more responsibility they can enforce a certain degree of safety within the company, both to the people below them in the operation, the standard workers, to have strong ethics in terms of safety, as well as a culture of communication. We also believe that they should be able to be honest and frank with the entire board of directors to explain to them if there is a problem, if people have identified problems, that they should be able to make these absolutely clear in an honest manner without any fear of repercussions. And we believe this because these people are appointed to the committee because they are conscious of the environment and the ethics of BP, and they deserve this responsibility and respect.
So I'll be going to the external issues with BP. So for us, what we identified for externality was a crisis communication failure. So there were a couple of problems with this crisis communication. So first off, there was no crisis communication plan for BP, and it never actually embraced such a culture or safety for ethics and emergency plans in such a situation. Then BP itself was very slow to react in terms of an apology and to implement a plan for such an action later on. Next, there was a problem with the BP CEO. He should have had more of a centralized role in the building of crisis organization and credibility. It doesn't really help if Tony Hayward is found on a yacht instead of handling the whole Deepwater Horizon issue. Lastly, we think that in order for an exposure, we believe there should be a control and exposure of the press. BP needs to make sure that the press releases that are coming from them and not from a third-party source, whereby there's a lot of disinformation spread around, and BP needs to be on top of these things to make sure that this disinformation does not get any traction, hence a negative press release. So we developed a crisis communication plan and the objectives that BP should establish when going into such a problem. So it should assess the issue and determine whether and what the communication response should be. To create a crisis communication plan, and there should be recommendations on how to go ahead with it. BP was the first company ever to face this sort of crisis on Twitter, Facebook, and on blogs. It did not know how to communicate to the public. As one study found out, there were over 64% negative feedback reviews by people on the internet, which causes a really big problem for the company, especially when it is trying to address these issues. Also saying that social media platforms such as Twitter is a two-way platform and is the best possible way to put information out to the public instead of people getting it from third-party views. So the implementations that they should take is to identify those parties that should be informed, so the public and news media corporations, then to identify a single spokesperson for the company, then to communicate the facts about the crisis. Again, the problem with social media was that the information they were sending out was too technical in detail, hence the common average person could not decipher such problems. Then to minimize rumors, and then to restore order and to rebuild trust of the community and of the people. So during the crisis, they need to recognize the contributions to the problem. They should not delay any form of responsibility that they're supposed to take. Collaborate with the media, and majority of information is mainly derived from news media sources. And then to involve all stakeholders and shareholders of the company within the process that they will take for the future. And after the crisis, what they should do is cooperate with media to show their efforts in fixing the situation. Also, to express their concerns to the accident victims, which is probably the most important part of this whole crisis. Some additional advice also that should be included into this is that they should not at all in any sort of way ignore the role of crisis communication during or after the crisis. Communication during the first few hours are probably the most important parts of effective crisis communication. During a crisis, a regular dialogue and communication needs to be opened up, a two-way stream between the consumers and BP. Also, crisis communication should be seen as a proactive function rather than a reactive one, which is what BP chose to be when it was issuing statements continuously more on the defensive and reactive. And it should help managers to participate in possible crises and to reduce probability to occur of another such an incident occurring. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you found our presentation very informative, and yeah, thank you.